Hello friends and happy reading. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kayla, and if you're not new, thanks for coming back. Always happy to have you. If you are new here, I like to do a lot of lifestyle, book, reading, and writing content here on this channel, so if any of those things interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and think about sticking around. Today's video is one I am super excited to share with you. I'm excited about all of the videos that I share with you, but in particular, it is December 29th today, and we are getting ready for a new year of reading, and I'm excited to bring to you my 2025 TBR. Listen, 2024 reading, I'm just accomplishing my reading goal by the skin of my teeth. I have one book left to finish in the next 3 days. I think I can do it. I'm on winter break. If you're new here, I'm an English teacher. I teach high school English, and I am trying my darndest, but I am also prepping for the new year of reading. This year coming up, I don't want to set monthly TBRs. I don't think. I did that last year in 2024, and honestly, I didn't stick to them. So I don't know that that's something I'm gonna try. I'm certainly not gonna be picking like 5 or 6 books that I wanna read every month. Maybe 1 or 2 that I wanna try and get read in the month, and then the rest kind of leave up to whatever my vibes are for the month, because that's honestly what ended up happening anyway. I'm such a mood reader, so for me to be setting 6 or 7 books that I wanna read every month is just not realistic. Especially because I am lowering my reading goal this coming year. Last year I read, in 2023, I read 45 was my goal. The year before that was like 35. This year was 40. And next year for 2025, I have set my reading goal to be 35 books this year. That's just about 3 a month. I don't know. I'm hoping I'll be able to do that. Life happens. Things happen. And I thought I was going to be able to knock my reading goal out of the park this year. And that was really not the case. My master's program kind of kicked my butt this year and definitely limited my reading ability, which then also limited my YouTube ability. So we're hoping to turn that around this year because I'm taking a leave of absence for my spring semester. I'm finishing my degree over the summer, and then I won't have any more classes in the fall. So we will see. I'm setting the bar pretty low in terms of my expectations. Chowder would like to come say hello. Come here. You want to say hi to mommy? You can. Come on up. Okay. Okay. What's wrong? I know you want me to go lay on the couch with you, and I will. Why don't you go get the couch all warm and comfy for mama? And then after mama is done, Mama will come onto the couch with you. I picked 35 books, and I have 25 books that I'm hoping to read that I've put on my TBR. I also am leaving myself some wiggle room for new releases that are coming out. I just made a video of the books that I am really excited about that are coming out in 2025. I don't know which of them that I will read. I have a couple that are definitely on my list that I will be reading. But I've not put every single one of those books on my list because I don't think that's realistic either. I'm hoping to do a couple of things, and this is where I'm going to share my my reading goals with you guys before we talk about the TBR, and we're also going to make a TBR jar in this video. I'm trying to read 35 books this year. I am trying to also only buy 12 books this year. I did a lot better about book spending and book buying last year. Definitely didn't buy as much as I have in previous years, especially in 2023 when I was cope buying books because I got laid off. Oh, what an era. I'm trying to buy 12, which is about 1 a month. I don't go to the bookstore every single month with the intent of buying books. Sometimes I just go for vibes, or to get a coffee, or to read, or to write at the bookstore. And that's most often why I'm there. But if I can get 1 book a month, and then maybe like March I don't go to the bookstore and go book shopping, I can get 2 the next month. There are a couple of things that I'm trying to get back into as a reader. One is I'm hoping to read more fantasy this year. I love fantasy premises, but I find myself getting very overwhelmed by complicated magic systems and long wars and so many characters and new realms. A little overwhelming for my brain. So I'm trying to find at least 5 fantasy books that I really want to dive into this year. I think I did read 5 fantasy books this year, but I used to read like strictly fantasy, and I do miss that in my reading. I'm also very, very behind on one of my favorite series, which is the Twisted Tales series, and those are books in the YA genre that take classic Disney movies, twist some element about it to create an alternative ending. I am really behind, so I'm hoping to read 3 of those this year. I have them, so I don't have to buy any new ones. I have them, and I want to share those with you today. I want to read 3 Kindle Unlimited books because I pay for the service, and I feel like I need to read Kindle Unlimited books to make it worth it. I'm thinking about changing that one to 1 book a month because I pay the $13 a month for Kindle Unlimited. If I'm not reading 1 KU book a month, I don't feel like I need to be paying for the service. And then I always have this on my list and I never actually do it. And so I'm really hoping that this is the year, in my other goals of like finding myself again and finding happiness again, to reread the first 4 Harry Potter books. So that is my list. But before we make our TBR jar, let's talk about the books actually on my list. And if I don't have any of the books, I will put the cover on the screen for you. But first, we need some coffee to get cozy and to talk about this. This is what I am currently drinking. My friend Bridget got me this ground coffee that is caramel flavored for my birthday, and then I have some maple sugar in the bottom of this that Bridget also got for me. But let's do it. I'm filming a weekly vlog right now to finish out my 2024 reading, but I had a little vision board night with my friends and we made 2025 journals. So in all of my like goal setting pages, I did create a reading goal page with my TBR for the year in it. Actually, I'm gonna organize this. I need to organize this in my brain. Hold on. Okay, we are gonna start this off with the books that I don't actually have, that I don't own yet. These are straight from my most anticipated releases of 2025 video that I posted at the point of this coming out last week, I believe. That video will be linked in the cards and in the description if you want to take a look at some of the books that I'm excited to read that are coming out in 2025. But the reason we're doing these is because I obviously don't have them. They're not out yet. The first is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I mentioned this a lot and I really dive into this in that video of my most anticipated releases for 2025. I loved Fourth Wing. I thought Iron Flame was meh. I'm curious if Onyx Storm will redeem the series for me. That is supposed to be a 6-book series, so if I can't get through Onyx Storm, I think I'm going to be out on the Empyrean series. And I'm really excited to see what fan theories are starting to come true in that series. Probably will be my January book buy, I'll be honest. I don't even want to know what the wait is at my library. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be a like several months to year-long wait on Onyx Storm. The next is 2 that I was very excited for in my TBR video that are in a very niche subgenre. One is Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce. This is a YA romance about a girl starting at a new high school who joins the Dungeons and Dragons Club. I am a nerd in all respect. I love me some D&D, and I am very excited for a nerdy, cozy D&D fantasy. Along the same lines, my favorites over at Critical Role are releasing a fantasy fictional novel set in one of their campaigns, or that is from one of their campaigns, called Tusk Love by Thea Guanan. Listen, I've been listening to the Mighty Nine campaign for almost 3 years now, and no, 2 years. I love Critical Role D&D. I love the Mighty Nine campaign, and Tusk Love is a fake book that they keep talking about that one of the characters in the campaign is reading, and they are actually writing the book and publishing it, and I am ungodly excited. I think it's my most anticipated release of the whole year, and I hope it is the best book that I read all year. So that is definitely going to be on my TBR for this year. Now I think I've separated this into 4 categories. I'm gonna get one out of the way because it's just kind of the outlier and I don't know where else to categorize it. So we're just gonna do it so we can have one checked off. That is Road Home by Rex Ogle. Rex Ogle is a YA memoirist who tells the stories of his experiences growing up as a gay young man in a very homophobic family who endured a lot of physical and mental abuse from his parents, his mother, his stepfather, and his father, who ultimately kicked him out of the house. His books are gut-wrenching. They are painful to read, honestly, but at the same time, they are so beautiful and inspiring to read, to think that somebody could go through these struggles and still come out a wonderful, inspirational person that is really writing these books as gifts to other people going through similar situations. I've read the rest of Rex Vogel's books except for his graphic novels this year. So I read Free Lunch, I read Abuela Don't Forget Me, and I did read Punching Bag very recently. But Road Home is his most recent release that came out this year in 2024. This is his memoir of his experiences with his father kicking him out of the house when finding out that he is gay, and him having to kind of like live on the streets of New Orleans for a while until he moved in with his grandmother. So this is a really great memoir. Some of his books are novels in verse or memoirs in verse, but Road Home is his most recent release, and I'm very excited to read it. Now we're gonna get our Twisted Tales out of the way. I have a solid collection of Twisted Tales. 14 Twisted Tales books. I am behind. I am behind the curve, okay? I've read some of them for sure, but it will be about 2 years since I've read the last one. Actually, maybe a little bit less than that because I did listen to one, but I want to get back into it. Some of my favorite gals have been given Twisted Tales and I want to read them. So let's talk about it. First up on the list, this is one I've actually been super excited to read because there are a couple books set in this movie world that I've been wanting to read lately and I just haven't gotten to any of them. But she is one of my most favorite princesses and she's a little bit underrated, so I'm excited about this. But this is Fate Be Changed by Farrah Rochon. This is the Brave Twisted Tale, and the twist here is what if the witch gave Merida a different spell, and I'm very curious what that could be about. But I just love these covers. I think they so well encapsulate what this series does, bringing to life a story that you know and love, but just making it a little bit different and elevating it just a little bit. So this is the first one. I also have Maggie Stiefvater's Brave book, Bravely, that I do want to read at some point. The second I have started this one, and I have not... Okay, I clearly bought this when I was still working at the bookstore because I just found somebody's sticky note for me in this book, which I'll show you in a second, but that is Straight On Till Morning by Liz Braswell. Listen, I like some of Liz Braswell's older Twisted Tales. I feel like the more recent ones have had personal, political views and affiliations that are not relevant to the story she's telling. And it throws me off. It feels forced, it feels unnatural. It's just like, have those views, absolutely incorporate them into your writing, but in a way that feels succinct and natural and not just like you're trying to make a statement. That doesn't really make sense. But this is What If Wendy First Traveled to Neverland with Captain Hook. I think this is gonna be really good. I remember liking this in the beginning when I started it, but I just lost focus on it. But Straight On Till Morning is the title of this book. This is the note one of my lovely friends left me. I actually got pretty far into it. I got to page 108, found my bookmark. So I think I would really like to read this one. I am planning a trip to Disney in 2025 for my birthday, and Peter Pan's Flight is on my list, and my friend Reese, who is supposed to go with me, loves Peter Pan, so I feel like this could be a good hype up to the trip. The last one, this one is a princess that has been recently on my mind. I have been loving her movie. I have been kind of loving her vibes. And this one I also think will be really interesting given the premise of the original movie, what could be done with it. But that is Almost There by Farrah Rochon again. This is the Tiana retelling from Princess and the Frog. And it says, what if Tiana made a deal that changed everything? And I feel with the Dr. Facilier kind of voodoo magic that was in the original movie could create for a really compelling Twisted Tale. This is actually probably the first Twisted Tale of the year that I will pick up because I'm so intrigued by that system and what could be done with that. So I was never really a Tiana girly, but she's growing on me and I think this will be really, really fun to read. Now we're gonna get into like romance fic vibes that I don't know where else to go, and then we will end with some fantasy. But this one my sister read. This is Abby Jimenez, Just for the Summer. I know nothing about this book except it is popular on the Book Talk, the BookTube, the Bookstagram, and is a romance. That's all I got. 4 dates, a kiss, and a breakup. That's all it will take to find their soulmate. I've had it for a while. It does feel like a summer read, so I don't think I'll be reading it anytime soon, but I do want to read an Abby Jimenez to see if I would like any of her other ones. This one I think is one of her most recent ones. I don't think it's the most recent, but if there are any others by her that you really like that I should check out that might be better than this one, let me know in the comments, because I've heard great things about her as a writer, but I don't know anything about her. This one I am really excited for. My mom got me this for Christmas last year and I didn't get the chance to read it. So I, to preface, love books about books that take place in bookish worlds, in libraries, with publishers, with writers, things like that. Just books that appreciate the magic of books. I enjoy. So this is The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. I've heard really, really good things about this. I think this cover is beautiful. It says, on a quiet street in Dublin, a lost bookshop is waiting to be found. For far too long, Opaline, Martha, and Henry have been the side characters in their own lives, but when a vanishing bookshop casts its spell, these three unsuspecting strangers will discover that their own stories are every bit as extraordinary as the ones found in the pages of their beloved books. By unlocking the secrets of the shelves, they find themselves transported to a world of wonder where nothing is as it seems. This feels like all of the vibes that I am trying to manifest in 2025 of like happiness, whimsy, daydreaming, like happiness, bookish happiness. Back to the things that I love, which is like wonder and enchantment, and I think this is going to be great. I also love that it's set in Ireland. Grant and I were supposed to go to Ireland over the summer, but we actually had to postpone that trip, so I think this will be good inspiration for our Ireland trip. This one, I have absurd anxiety about being behind on authors that I enjoy. It's irrational, like most anxiety is, and I don't know why it bothers me so much, but because this author keeps coming out with books and I have not caught up and read her whole bibliography, I'm feeling distressed. I also want to read this because my sister read it and told me that she liked it a lot. She also got it for me as a gift, and I want to be able to talk about it with her. And also this author, one of her books was, I think, my top book of 2024. We got to give it a shot. And that is Funny Story by Emily Henry. This is her most recent release. She does have one coming out in 2025. Oh, I forgot to talk about those two. There were 2 more books, I'll get to them, that I want to read that aren't out yet, but we will talk about it in a second. She has a book coming out this year in 2025, but this is her most recent one. It takes place, I believe, in Michigan, I want to say. Yes, Waning Bay, Michigan. I started this. I only read about 20 pages. I was just a little bit put off by the premise. It was a little too convenient, a little too far-fetched for me to really be like, okay, this is believable. Essentially, the main character was engaged. She gets cheated on by her fiance. She gets cheated on by her fiance, who is secretly seeing his lifelong best friend. They just like one day realize that they have been in love with each other their whole lives, and they're not really just best friends. So the main character moves out of the house that they bought together, and the only place that she can get an apartment is with the ex-fiance's new girlfriend's ex-fiance. Like, she was engaged to a guy, main character was engaged to a man, they break up. Now the 2 scorned lovers have to move in together. And I was like, really? That's the only apartment in all of Michigan that this girl can move into? So that was just like a little far-fetched for me, but obviously the 2 scorned lovers do fall in love. I have not met a Emily Henry book that I don't like, so I think it will be good. I just need to get past that premise. That brings me to the 2 that I also forgot to throw on the list of releases that are coming out that I have not owned yet. One being The Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, which is another book that appreciates books and bookishness in the book world, with 2 writers that are competing over the opportunity to tell the story of this famous prolific person. So we have a girl who's like really waiting for her debut, and a guy who's a Pulitzer Prize winning writer who are kind of like grumpy sunshine enemies to lovers competing for the same writing opportunity. The second that I don't have that I forgot about is called Main Characters. I do have to look up the author, but this is kind of like a Parent Trap feel-good story. It's set in Maine, and it's these two half-sisters that meet for the first time after the unexpected passing of their father, and they go to his lake house in Maine. Feels very lake life, very like slow living, happy, feel-good, finding friendship, connection, family. For years I've been trying to get back into reading classics to feel like the true academic that I know that I am in my heart, and I just have not prioritized it. I think it's just taken too much brain space with everything going on lately, so I'm hoping that a little bit less things going on, aka finishing my master's program, will allow me some more brain space to dive into the deeper, more difficult novels and classics that I've been wanting to read that are on my shelf. And we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is a quintessential classic that I've loved for a very, very long time. I did purchase this copy in Bath when I was studying abroad in England back in 2019. I feel like it's like every other day my brain is like, watch the 2005, watch the 2005. Watch the 2005. So I feel like I just need to do it. I need to read it and dive on in. And I think I get intimidated by the writing style of these and being like a little bit different English. And then I flip through it, I'm like, this is not hard for me to comprehend and understand. I just need to buckle down and read it. But this is feeling spring to me. I think we'll read this in the spring. Okay, now we have some fantasy to get through. I'm excited and intimidated at the same time, but here we go. First, we have His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik. I've heard really good things. I have so many of Naomi Novik's books, never read a single one, but I'm on a dragon kick right now. So this is weird. This is weird, this is different. This is fantasy and also like warped history. This is like literally the British and the French are battling each other. The British and the French are fighting each other, and the British army has a legion of dragons and warriors. I don't know why. Don't ask me, ask Naomi Novik, but I think this is gonna be freaking awesome. And I'm now thinking it's a time period in history where Napoleon Bonaparte, because he's a character named in this book. That's the time period we're looking at. This is, I think, a trilogy, or it's at least a series, but this is book 1. This is a terrifically entertaining fantasy novel according to Stephen King. I think this is just gonna be fun, a little bit of like something different. And I do feel like with that intimidation with fantasy of being new worlds, new realms, new magic systems, having it set at least with countries and characters that I am familiar with in history will be fine. This is from my girl Holly Black. We have The Prisoner's Throne. This is the second book and the final book in the Stolen Heir duology. This is the sequel to the Stolen Heir, which is a spin-off from The Wicked King. The Cruel Prince. The Cruel Prince is the first one. This I feel like is a very winter-coded read. In this book, Oak, who is the Prince of Elfhame, is locked away or kind of like trapped in this like frozen, barren, Arctic feeling north. And it's just a continuation of this now princess who has kind of betrayed him. I would like to wrap up this story with a neat little bow. I do love the world of Elfhame and this series that she's created between The Cruel Prince and The Stolen Heir. Though I did not love The Stolen Heir, I do love returning to that world, seeing those characters and the way that she kind of like infuses magic in the real world together is super entertaining for me. So I will be picking this up, I think, fairly soon into the new year for the wintry vibes. Okay, this book I'm so excited to read, and this might be my first read of 2025 because I will still have a day off at the beginning of the year, and I feel like I will be able to dive on into this, and that is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I have had this book probably for about 6 years now. When I worked at the bookstore, this was all the rage. People were buying this all the time. It was flying off the shelves. That was right before it became a series on AMC. Like filming was just starting, so people were picking this up again. It has never felt like the right time for me to read this book, but it feels aggressively like the right time right now, so I feel like I have to keep reading. Also, I do know that this just got put on Netflix, which is another reason why I'm really excited to read it, because I do want to watch the show. My friends Reese and Bridget, I believe, both watched the show and told me that I had to read it, watch it, and dive on in. This is one that I'm going to stick firm to, that I need to read it before I watch it. I don't want it to be spoiled. I want to appreciate the magic and the wonder in the author's intention before I see what the movie or the TV show has done. I also did not remember until I started watching it that I was in Oxford when Discovery of Witches was being filmed. I want to say it was season 2, but I remember like the pubs I used to go to being shut down for days at a time because they were filming in them. I remember distinctly that they're like walking home from a pub one night very, very late. They were filming a scene, like an action scene. It was all very, very cool to witness and experience, and I completely forgot about that. So I really want to read this so I can watch it, so I can kind of relive those memories and feel like I'm back in England again. It's also, again, back to those books about books. This is set in the Bodleian Library in Oxford, which is one of the most magical places I've ever been. I took a class at Oxford. I wrote my final paper. I went to the Bodleian Library like every day to work on that paper and just to take in the Bodleian, and I am so excited to go back in a magical capacity. Okay, I have 2 rereads, which is really 5 rereads, so let's talk about it. These books have been on my list to reread and get back into for a very long time. Again, going back to things that have made me very happy in the past, finding that wonder, those dreams, and things that made me fall in love with reading all over again. You should be able to tell already what these are. First, we have Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Throne of Glass by our girl Sarah J. Maas. I never finished this series. Never ever finished this series. I got through Queen of Shadows, which is book 4, and I never finished it. And my friend Reese is reading the series right now, and watching her like go through those discoveries, those like reveals, is making me want to reread the series and experience it and talk about it alongside her. So I did read the first like 12 pages of this. I read 29 pages. I have the sticky flags to annotate in this. I want to do it. I love me some Sarah J. Maas. I finished Court of Mist and Fury for a reread this. So that was last year. I did not reread a Sarah J. Maas this year. I'm hoping to read it and dive back in and get all excited again. Honestly, especially trying to read fantasy more, it is helpful for me to do rereads or to read authors I know that suck me in, that I get really excited about. And Sarah J. Maas is one of those. I know the stories and that helps to be familiar with it and the magic system. Something about a Sarah J. Maas book, I can be reading an 800-page book in 3 days. I don't know what it is. Then we have Harry Potter. This is just the first one, obviously. I am hoping to reread books 1 through 4. Every time I reread these damn books, I get through book 3 and I lose steam. So really, the goal is to get through book 4. These books, though I disagree with the author, though she is problematic, though she is a menace and a half, I still so love these books. These were such an integral part of my childhood, of my growing up, of my development as a reader, and I want to revisit that. I want to revisit that whimsy, that magic. I am ignoring this wench at the bottom. I am pretending that somebody else wrote this, though this is still a flawed series, wanting to read and appreciate the magic and the wonder of these books. I want to read through book 4. I have not read book 4, which is my favorite one in probably close to 10 years now, and I really, really want to reread it. So I've also been playing Hogwarts Legacy lately, and I just feel like there is so much magic and joy and whimsy, nostalgia, all of the things in playing that game, and it is making me want to go back to Hogwarts through the Golden Trio. Damn it, we're gonna try. Even if it's like 1 a season, I think I can do that. Okay, we have 2 more and then we're gonna go ahead and make our TBR jar. I'm sorry this video is already very long, but this book has been on my TBR all of 2024, most of 2023, honestly. So I'm like 2 years behind in reading this. This is the spin-off of The Kingdom of the Wicked. I devoured The Kingdom of the Wicked. This follows Prince Envy in a side, like, curse, challenge, whatever new female main character that he is trying to work with. And I really want to read it. I am intimidated by the length of this book, but I will be reading it because I've started a couple of times. I actually started on my Kindle because it is on Kindle Unlimited, the first one at least, and I was reading a lot faster, so I'm wondering if that might help me to get through the book. But there is also a second one that just came out. I think it's The Throne of Secrets, maybe, that follows Prince Gluttony. So I'm trying to get back in the series again. That anxiety on being behind on on writers' releases. Lastly, last book on the TBR. I have so much fear. I have so much fear, and this is probably not the way to go if I've been intimidated by fantasy, but I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently. The Fellowship of the Ring. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I have been such a Hobbit and Lord of the Rings girly in terms of the movies. I can't call myself that if I'm not gonna attempt to read the books. I've read The Hobbit now 3 times, and I did listen to The Hobbit this year. My best friend Jess and I had a Hobbit themed slumber party. We watched the whole Hobbit trilogy. We are gonna have a repeat of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I got an epic Legolas t-shirt. She got a Samwise Gamgee t-shirt. I'm gonna read this. If it takes me all damn year because he talks about trees for 12 pages, I will do it. I am equally, and it's not all dread, I'm equally excited about reading this and really understanding Tolkien's lore and the world that he built and that magic system. I think is so inspiring for me as a writer. I'm excited to read this. I just also am very afraid. Those are the books that I definitely want to put on my TBR. So now let's switch gears for a little bit and let's make our TBR jar. My camera battery is flashing, so let me go change that and then we'll do the TBR jar. Okay, I'm gonna put all of the books that I pulled out to talk to you guys about away first, but I did want to shout out the sweatshirt my boyfriend got me. It is from an Etsy shop that has so many fun, like, reader bookish merch ideas. It's also where my Basquiat sweatshirt is from Fourth Wing that my friend Reese got for me as a gift, and then Grant, my boyfriend, got this for me for Christmas, and I've been living in this sweatshirt, so I will link it down below if I can find it. So she has really, really cool merch. There is a t-shirt I want to get that is the Valaris Art Festival t-shirt. That might be it. Let's talk TBR jar. Okay, I want to name that I'm not the creator of this idea. There are plenty of people who do it over on Instagram, TikTok, BookTube, all sorts of things. You can also find really good prompt ideas on Pinterest. If you want to do it like reading challenge style, you can find really fun prompts to help you like be creative about picking reads in your library. All you need is a jar. I have this one. I got these for Christmas presents. I made my nephew's non-toxic Play-Doh and got these really cute jars, and I had extra. I have cardstock that I stole transparently from my classroom, a pair of scissors, and a good pen. I'm not doing this challenge-wise. I think maybe in the future, in a dream world where I have full-time booktuber, reader, writer, I would be doing a challenge. However, because I have a list of books that I know I want to read this year, I am going to start with those and put them in here. I think I'm going to also grab a couple of new titles that were not explicitly on this list, just in case I need to mix it up. I feel like if I feel like I can only pick books that are on this list, I'm not going to want to read them. But if I throw in a couple of random surprise titles that I still would really like to read, but don't want to pressure myself to read, this will go a whole lot better. So I'm gonna do with that, and I think I'm gonna do, I was gonna do like color by genre, but I think I just don't even want to be like, ah, I feel like reading another romance. I think I just want to throw them in random. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut strips of this cardstock and write the titles and authors on them, fold them up nice and tight, and throw them in this jar. Now, when I go to pick my TBR, I don't think I'm gonna do it by month. I think I'm just gonna go to the jar, grab a title when it's time to start a new book, and go from there. The only thing I want to name is because some of these are not out yet, I would put the title back if it hasn't been released. If it has been released and I don't have it, I would maybe put it back, or depending on funds, maybe go buy the book to be able to read it. And also, if I have any books in a series, for example, if I pull the Harry Potter book 4, but I haven't read 2, like I've only read through 2, I'm gonna put that back so I can pick something else. or just pick the next book in the series. So I'm not gonna be reading things like out of order. Let's start by cutting up some cardstock. I did some like bright, happy colors, and I'm just doing like pretty skinny strips. I don't care that they're not gonna be even, because I'm gonna just cut it up further anyway. And I think this is just gonna be helpful for me to read more of my physical TBR. I really struggle with decision making, so I'm trying to find ways to eliminate the barriers for things that I love, like reading, because I can't decide what I want to read. That's a silly reason not to be reading. Okay, while I'm cutting these, let me know, what is your goal of books to read in 2025? Are you increasing your goal? Are you decreasing a goal? Do you not set a goal? Also, how do you track your reading? Are you on Goodreads? Are you on Storygraph? How are you tracking your reading? Do you use a reading planner? Now, I've gotten reading planners in the past. I used to get the Always Fully Booked reading planner, and I think I will in the future. I just have not had time or brain space to consistently keep up with filling it out. And so it's kind of an expensive journal to not really fill out, and it was making me sad how little I was putting in there. So that's a goal for maybe 2026. But now I have a whole basket of notebooks I use with regularity. So one more. I think though, my plan is in this 2025 notebook that I made, I am going to do like little book pages, like reading reviews, or in my happiness journal for however long. Also, if you have any books that are absolutely on your TBR for 2025 that you cannot wait to read, let me know, because always looking for a book recommendation, always looking to give a book recommendation, and I love to see what the girlies are reading. This is the most type B thing I've ever done. I also, as a teacher, I have my students read every class period for like 10 or so minutes. My goal is to really read along with them and have those 10 minutes for myself. I tell them that we do it for them to enjoy reading. Why the hell am I not doing the same thing? Take 10 minutes of my period to not be stressed about something else and read a book? Hell yeah. I have my little pile of strips here. I have my books and I have my jar. Write the names of the books on here. Throw in a couple from the bookshelf that are bonus ones. And we're gonna have our TBR jar for 2025. Y'all, we did it. I did probably like another 10 on top of what I picked out, which just to kind of like keep it interesting, in a mix of all sorts of genres. So we have like romance reads, we have classics, we have fantasy, all sorts of things, series, not series, authors I've read before, authors I haven't. So that's gonna live on my bookshelf, which is a little bit cluttered right now because Christmas is still up, but that'll be out and done in the next couple of weeks. That is my 2025 TBR, the books I want to read, my reading goals, and my TBR jar. I hope you really enjoyed this video and had fun. Maybe you added another book to your reading list, your TBR for 2025. Like I said, let me know how many books you're planning to read next year. What's on your TBR? Is there anything that I need to add to mine? I'll throw it in the jar. Are you doing like a TBR jar, a journal, a tracker? What is going on for your reading in 2025? Let me know in the comments down below and leave me a little white heart emoji because we are loving the reading that's coming in 2025. I will see you guys in my next one. Have a wonderful day wherever you are and happy reading. Bye-bye.